So I planned on making this video back in January when I redid the studio, and I've been talking about this for months, and here's the problem. I realized I never quite got it to where I was, comfortable saying it was done. I was always tweaking something, adding something else. I got the TV up there now. I never got the panels, the cool looking sound panels up in the background. I never really got it to a point where I was like, okay, this is done to the point where I want to show it to the world. Now, it's functional because I designed it that way and I've been using it for the last 6 months or so, but it was never really that polished in a way that I wanted to put a bow on it and put it out on the internet and say, this is my creation, this is my workspace. But life has a funny way of getting to you, and this is about to all go away because, well, I'm moving. I'm doubling the size of the studio here. This is a 10 by 10 space, and I'm about to turn it into a 10 by 20, which means that all this is going out. The whole recording set is going to become a whole new space separate from my desktop, my workstation, etc. Now, I cleaned this all up so it looks nice because normally there's a lot more clutter, and it's always funny every time I clean it up. I'm like, I sit down at my desk, I'm like, oh, this is so nice. Why do I always let it get so dirty? And then the next day it's like dirty again. I don't know. It's a daily struggle. If any of you have tips on how to beat that, please let me know. ADHD brain here. It's just the daily life. It's the daily struggle. That being said, I didn't want to tear all this down without showing you what it takes to be a YouTuber, a one-man show, running everything, doing everything in a small studio, and how it's all set up, just in case you have a setup like this. Number one, you get to see behind the scenes how I do what I do, but number two, in case you have a setup or you're thinking of building a setup, maybe you can learn from some of the ways that I've done things. Now we're going to start with this side, because that side of the studio you've already seen. It's the background of a lot of my videos. I don't usually cover this side. That side has the bookshelf, it has the rack, it has the tools, it has all the good stuff, all the fun background items, whereas this is more of a workable workspace. That being said, a lot of this tweaking for what makes it a workable workspace is what I think is valuable to all of you. Now, I will try to put links to all of these things down below. Some of them are easier to get, some of them are harder to get, things that I've collected from around the internet over the years that really have optimized this to make this an excellent setup. Now, well, I guess we can go left to right, and again, we'll show more of the setup here. And again, it's not perfect because it's operational, and I guess it's never going to be perfect. Like that screen over my head over there, there we are, is off because that's my security cameras around my house, and I am not going to show you all of, my kids' bedrooms and so on that I have on there. Just we'll get there and I'll talk about how I do that and what I do with it, etc. Starting over on this side, and you can't really see it, but over here, let me move this over a little bit. Let's see. So over here, this is the top-down set. This is the desk that I use in all of my videos. It's a Huffy bench from Home Depot. It has a little crank to go up and down. It's not electric. It is on wheels, on casters, because I do move it from over here over to in front of the bookcase, depending on what kind of a setup I want to do for my videos. I have mounted on here, this is a pole that I have to look up where I got it from. This is a small rig mount, and my goal here was to have something that was mounted to the desk that I could use for lighting, for holding items, for tripods, and what this has is it has an arm which the camera usually goes on, and it sticks out a little bit from the back of the desk, and then this arm can be varying heights of different lights that I have up here, and then this is just the cord, which I usually plug in and power from a battery because it's easier than having lots of wires running around the studio. This whole thing is adjustable, so I can lower this down on that side as well as on this side. It actually gets pretty tall. I don't usually have it that tall in general, and then this can be moved to anywhere on here because it's a clamp. And then in addition to that, this is really solid, so if I have other clamp-on items, whether it's a tripod or something that I want to use for the video, I can clamp it onto here. Now, dropping down from the ceiling, let me see if I can show this. There we go. Dropping down from the ceiling, this is janky as shit. But I have my camera mounted onto a, I don't know, I'll put the link on it I'll put the link down below where I got it from, but it's mounted onto the pole that I have above there, and that pole is designed to serve as a buffer. It holds a blackout curtain that when I need privacy or when I'm trying to really control the lighting, I put that down across the rest of the garage area here, which is where the studio is. Fun fact, my studio is in my two-car garage. Originally during COVID, my wife and I had converted it into, it's a 20 by 20, 20 feet by 20 feet, and so I got 10 by 10 over here for my office, she has 10 by 10 over there for her office, and then we have a 10 by 20 over there that is kind of like a multi-purpose space, storage, workout, etc. in reality, after the last couple of years, it's now mostly just storing all of this stuff from the studio, and it's become obvious that I need more space, and so we're expanding my space into 10 by 20, and then we have other plans for this side, which I can get into in another video. Continuing on, though, that's how I established the top-down shot, is by using the curtain rod that is on the ceiling and has the blackout curtain that goes across, and I just affixed my Sony camera to that, and then I use that as a top-down camera, and that's when the desk is in place over here. All right, let's continue going left to right. That's the top-down shot. That's how that works. Over here we have the Google Pixel tablet. I use it from time to time just for pulling things up on YouTube, or asking questions, or if I'm busy with something on my computer and I need an interface, or I just want to grab a tablet and I want to take it with me, I can pull it off that dock and use that there. Over here I have the Ubiquiti G3 phone, G3 Touch phone. I have it kind of hiding behind my screen because I don't get that many phone calls. I'm not in that kind of daily active run and gun, use it all the time kind of a business. But one thing that I really like here is that it has the wireless handset. So even if I do get calls, or I need to call, I don't know, government tax authority or something, some office that I'm on the phone with, this is a wireless cordless phone, and works over Bluetooth and connects directly to the phone and is fantastic. Now in the back here, you can't really see them. This is, let me lift this up. This is a Logitech light bar over here, which I can turn on, and that has both sides. The front side is varying shades of white, and then the back side of the same light bar is varying shades of color. So if I want a little bit of color accents, I can do that through here, or if I'm on a Google Meet over here, I've got my webcam on top of my monitor, I can turn that on and I have some better lighting, especially if it's in the nighttime. The lighting over on this side, I just have a single spot over my head, and that does not look all that great when you are, when there's no other light coming into the studio. There's a window over on this side, which I'll show you in a moment. So during the day, I'm fairly well lit, but at night, that doesn't look the greatest. So I have that here and can turn that on. Now, the TV behind here, I did a whole video on this. This is the Telly Free TV. This is a TV where they send you a TV in exchange for your data, and it actually has an advertising bar behind it, which I don't have this set up right now to lower the whole thing, but there's a sound bar and a second screen that shows advertisements on one side and information on the other. And I didn't correctly measure this when I mounted it to the wall, so it is actually mostly hidden by my monitor. But when I don't have my mic stand in the way, I can lower the monitor and have direct access to that screen. Ouch! And have direct access to that screen because it does have some interesting information such as live weather, live stock updates, breaking news, that kind of thing. And it is nice to have that kind of information just always displaying there. But when I am working at my computer, sometimes I really just want to turn it off, and so that's where it is actually nice that it is blocked by the monitor. Now getting into some of the other gear that we have here, the speakers. So the speakers that I have back here are not the Logitechs like I thought. These are the Razer Nomo. They are 3-inch drivers, rear-facing, bass ports, etc. Just really good all-around general sound desktop speakers. Yeah, they light up and have colorful LEDs because they're Razers on the bottom. I don't really use it all that much, but it's cool to have. And also a good indicator of why is it not working? Oh, the LED isn't on, which means that the speakers are off because we lost power or whatever it was. Continuing on through, this is obviously the Google Home Hub, and then this little white box down here is the new Google 4K streaming device, which I have connected to the TV as well as, which my computer is also connected to. And then my phone stand, this is the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and my AirPods, but the phone stand is the Anker, I gotta look up the what this is called, the Anker desktop. I'll put it up on the screen. Anker desktop charging setup. It's got a charger for the Apple Watch and the AirPods, and wireless charging for the phone. No, it's not MagSafe because I also have the Pixel, and the Pixel doesn't really do MagSafe. So I think even without a case, I guess with a case, I guess it could work, but much better for me just to have something that is just general wireless charging, because if I'm charging other, other phones that I'm testing and whatnot, better to have that all-around solution. As for the webcam, this is the Logitech MX Brio. I do like it. I'm having some kind of a flicker issue with it where it just, turns off and on really fast once in a while. It's a little bit annoying. And also with certain programs like Riverside, when I'm doing a recording, I have to unplug it and plug it back in for the computer to recognize. That could be a Riverside issue, it could be a camera issue, or it could be a dock issue, which I'll get to in a moment. Behind here is the dock. This is the CalDigit TS4, and on top of that I have an Anker 4-port HDMI switcher, and that's how I switch switch between my MacBook Pro as well as the Google 4K streamer. And then I'm also working on a video that utilizes the Ubiquiti, what is this thing called? The Ubiquiti, the UC Cast Pro. So I'm going to be working on showing that off, obviously on the new set, because I'm about to tear all this down for doing construction, but this will also go on there, and then I can show off displaying things like my company logo or whatever products I'm reviewing at the time, etc. Next over here, I've got the microphone arm. This is the Elgato low profile mic arm. I love it because it has the ability to go underneath the monitor and it's not coming down, it's not in the shot. It's very low profile. Usually when I'm on camera recording something, I just see the top of the microphone here, and this sort of kind of floats in and out of the picture there, and I can move it out of the way when I'm not using it. The keyboard, continuing on the Logitech MX train, this is the MX keys, which I absolutely swear by, and the MX Master 3S, which I absolutely love, and the minute it dies, I'll buy another one, and when they come out with a new version, I'll buy that one too, and I can't live without these. These are fantastic. And the Logitech wrist rest, I don't think it's MX anything, it's just the keyboard, you know, place for your wrists to go, works best with this low profile keyboard in my opinion. On to the star of the show, the main attraction here is my Samsung Odyssey G9. Unfortunately, it's not the OLED version. This came out before the OLED version did, and I haven't gotten around to buying a new one or needing to buy a new one that I should upgrade to that. I'm kind of waiting for the 2K or the 4K version, because this is just 2K. But this being a 4K screen, when I am not showing my desktop picture here so that it's nice and clean and all of the files are put away and hidden, when I've got all of my windows here, I have a setup where I like to have 3 browser windows side by side over here, and then up on the big screen I have my communications, so Google Chat, WhatsApp, Slack, Discord. Those are all open at the same time on here. I've got Spotify, and then I also have my time tracking app, which I use for client billing and stuff like that. I also have my notes app. I also have my task management app, as well as anything else that I'm working on and I want to throw up on another screen at the moment. Now, the interesting thing here is if you see over here, let's move it a little bit more this way. The interesting thing here is that this is a Dell 27-inch 4K monitor. And the reason why I have that is because before I got the big TV, I was using that as a continued wraparound screen setup. And as much as I love having that setup, I think I'm actually liking the big TV in front of me instead, because there's much less head turning and adjusting to be able to see things on there. Also, it's a much bigger screen. Now, do I wish it was better quality? Do I wish it was the same pixel density and quality of the incredible Dell 4K monitor? Yes, but we'll get there. Again, this was free. Continuing on this side is, well, my MacBook Pro MacBook Pro 14 M3 Max processor with 32 gig of RAM. This is on a stand that is made by Human Centric. It's the Human Centric vertical stand, and it comes with a couple of different cutouts for the different models that you have, and it's fantastic for being able to plug directly, put my dock in it, put my laptop in it, and then plug it into the TS4 CalDigit dock that I have down below. Now, this area over right next to my desk I use as a sort of like things that I use most frequently. So, for example, you've got the remotes for controlling the TV. There is, of course, 3 of them because universal remotes suck overall, unfortunately. This is my CO2 monitor. This thing is pretty cool. This is from a company called SwitchBot. This is a SwitchBot Meter Pro, and I use this because if I'm doing a really deep editing session, or I'm on a lot of meetings and I've got the windows closed and I don't have any fan on, sometimes you get that sleepy feeling, and that's because the CO2 actually rises and you start breathing in more of that, and you don't have as much fresh air, as much good production going on. So that's an indication to open a window or go for a walk or something along those lines. Also, I like it has the room temperature and the time and the humidity. As you can see, I like the time. I've got time there, time there, time there. I've got time all over the place because I'm constantly looking at my schedule, looking at the time, realizing, okay, I gotta jump to this, I gotta jump to that. What else do I have going on over here? On the mic arm, I forgot to mention, this is the Shure MV6. I love Shure microphones. No, I'm not using it for this video. I'm using the DJI Mic 2, wireless, of course, but when I am recording the live show or a podcast episode, something recorded in a meeting, video call, etc., that's all done with this. And then all of my previous stuff that I did before I got fancy with the wireless microphones was all done with the previous Shure MV7 something or other. But yeah, so this space is used for just kind of stuff that I grab all the time. I've got my meeting headphones that I don't actually end up using all that often anymore, but these are the Jabra, I don't know which ones they are. These are Jabra meeting headphones with the drop-down boom arm there with a little, what do you call it, a little headphone holder underneath the desk. Again, links to that down below because I don't remember specifically what it was, but I wanted to be able to show it all off. Now, in the corner over here, underneath the monitor, and there's some cables that go up to the attic and the rest of the house, etc., as well as my fiber line, which comes down from Frontier, is all organized over there. But I've got my network switching in the corner, which powers my laptop and my phone, and, sorry, not my laptop, it powers the internet to my laptop. It powers both internet and power to my phone and some of the other devices over here. And so that's all hidden away in the corner. And then I've got some storage for other devices that I'm testing, laptops, extra speakers, mounts, microphones, cameras, SD cards, all that good fun jazz that you need for this kind of production. That's all kept in those drawers, and those are IKEA drawers that I can link to in the description down below as well. Then I've got my fan, and over there I have a window to the outside, which is always nice because then I get some fresh air and some fresh sunlight throughout the day. I love having a window in the studio, even if it does make the lighting a little bit difficult to control. What else can I show off? Oh, one more thing that I have over here is my charging station. So I have a bunch of Anker batteries that I use for all of these things, but I also am a diehard believer in any of the gear that I use, especially if it's not like mega powerful switches, should all be powered by USB-C. Preferably batteries, rechargeable, like my camera, for example. It's not plugged into anything. My lights, I told you before, I use via battery packs. All of it should be powered via battery packs because I can just take it with me. I have zero restrictions. I don't need to find an outlet on the wall. I just plug everything in and I'm off to the races. And I have a lot of beefy battery packs, the larger Anker Solex setups as well. This over here in the corner, I have some of the Anker desktop charging units, and then I have USB-C cables that I use, which are plugged into them, and I use to recharge all the devices. Obviously, a lot of the batteries have their own built-in cords now, so I plug them directly in. And again, I'll leave a link down below to the chargers that I use. The cables that I love, these are the Sabrent cables that have a screen on them. And the reason why I love this is because, well, very specifically, I need to know when I plug a device in that I'm getting the maximum wattage for it. Because with a lot of these batteries, I'll plug them in and I need to make sure that they're charged before I grab them again, whether it's in an hour or two, make sure they're actually charging. And sometimes you can use a cable that's fast charging, slow charging. Sometimes you'll get a charger that perhaps will go onto a mode that it thinks that it's not supposed to do fast charging, and so it only does slow charging, and then you grab your device and it's basically dead or trickle charged the entire time, when really what I want is this thing to suck power through and charge all my devices really, really quick, so that way it's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore, and that's what these cables are really great for, because I can plug in my phone, I can see that it's pulling 20, 30 watts, whatever, great. I can plug it in over there to something else, it starts pulling, like for example my laptop, 60, 70, 80, 90 watts, or something larger that'll charge at 110 watts, 140 watts, always great, because then I can see on the cable that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So that's those. Then I have a little accent lamp in the corner there. That's where some of the blue lighting comes from. And then the blue lighting around the TV is actually a built-in LED light strip that came as part of the TV. So good choice there, Telly. I like it. Other than that, I've got a battery backup under the desk, and then everything else over here you've pretty much seen, but I'll bring it around real quick anyway. That's the window behind me over there, and then this is the rack. Pay no attention to the stuff. I already started moving some things. This is my Milwaukee Packout Network IT control center in a box or in a rolling setup, etc. I suppose I probably should do a tour of all the tools that I have in there, but that's for another day, given that I'm just struggling to even get this video out. The top rack is the Ubiquity test rack. Thank you to Ubiquity. They send me all kinds of great stuff so that I can make great videos showing everybody about how all they work and what they are, etc. And then the bottom rack has some of the stuff they sent me, but also a lot of the stuff that powers my own network, more battery backups, hard drives, etc. I'm trying to get everything onto the primary UNAS Pro that I have over here. But this powers the rest of the house, which is also important because my wife works from home, and she'll get really mad at me if the network goes down while I'm testing something, so I have a dedicated home network, and then I've got the test rack, which I'm very fortunate to have and be able to play with, all of these wonderful new devices, including this and this, which are technically unannounced, but I'm not going to release this video until afterwards. So this is a sneak peek, the USW Pro XG10 PoE switch, as well as the new WAN switcher, which they're unveiling probably this week or next. So cool things on there. And then, oh yeah, it's this. You've got the AI port down here. You've got, I'm just playing around with the U7, what do you, U7 in-wall, U7 Pro in-wall. So life of a tech YouTuber is this stuff is just everywhere all the time. You're testing lots of different things, plugging things in, moving things around. And that's why I'm redesigning the studio in a way that I'll have my desk be separate, where I can do the testing from the production side, or I can just sit down, make sure there's a SD card in the camera, and hit record and start recording what I'm talking about without having to worry about, oh shit, this is embargoed and that I can't show, and this is messy because it's storage up there, and I gotta make sure to frame it correctly and clean it all up. No, that's gonna be done every single time. Just sit down and hit record and go, and then I can work on that device. And then later on the weekend or whatever, I can clean up the rest of my desk and make it nice and shiny clean like it is now. What else can I show you here? Some more chick-chock, knick-knack stuff. This is all going to go in the new background. Storage up there is for a lot of the Ubiquiti stuff they sent me. I don't think any of that is embargoed, so we're good to continue showing all the mess over there. But that's pretty much it. That's the tour of the studio. Over there is even messier storage, so I'm not going to show you that because, cringe. I'm going to get enough people making fun of me for this video as it is, I'm sure. I'm going to be filming the construction of the new studio. So again, it's a 10 by 20 space in the garage. Going to be doing some better soundproofing and some better lighting control, and like I said, setting up the dedicated space for, and I'll throw the plans up on the screen now, dedicated space for a recording studio over on one side, a dedicated top-down set, so that never changes for taking products out and unboxing them and filming that, etc. And then dedicated storage on probably on both sides of the wall, because when you're a tech YouTuber, you have lots of stuff that you need to store, and projects you're working on and old stuff, and at some point I should probably start selling or giving away some of this gear, etc. And then a dedicated background for my desk setup, but also just it's a larger overall space, and so I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm going to be filming the setup of all of that and talking more in detail of all the things that I use for that. So please like and subscribe, hit the notification icon to get notified when those videos are done and go online. This is going to be an ongoing series over the next couple of weeks, because it's going to be a while I move all this crap, and now I have to tear all this down, figure out a way to move it over there so that they can do the construction and then start constructing everything and building out the set the way that I wanted it after the wall is up, etc., etc. So once again, thanks for watching. Let me know your questions and comments down below. If you have recommendations for products, I'm always looking for new ways to tweak and new ways to update this, as evidenced by the fact that I should have put this video out 6 months ago when the studio was done. All right, not quite 6 months ago. We're only in April, but it feels like 6 months because I started planning and rebuilding the studio into the new year then. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.